All right, Homesteader family, welcome back to the journey and welcome to this edition of the Sunday Monday vlog. I'm going to do something a little bit different in the beginning this time because I've had some of you out there requesting this and a few of you asking if I've stopped this, and that is what happened to giving treats to the dogs and making videos with the dogs getting treats. Have I stopped that? No, I haven't stopped it. I actually gave them a pound of hamburger a couple days ago. I've got this pound of hamburger I was going to give yesterday and decided, since I've had a new person ask, why aren't I showing the dogs getting treats? I figured I'd go ahead and do this on the Sunday Monday vlog. On top of that, I know there's everybody that loves the Anatolian Shepherds, but I have, since I've been here at the Homestead restaurant, not the real Homestead. Eventually, one day, I'll be filming from the Homestead, living there. Until then, we're here. But with all the heat and me not being able to do stuff, I've been trying to work with the dogs on training. For those of you that have seen the channel for all these years, since 2016, when I first got the dogs, know that I've never really done training for the dogs. So I've been working on that. So we're going to see. It's not going to be perfect. I'm going to warn you now. No, Chris. They have not killed any predators. They have not killed anything lately. That's due to the fact that they're lazy dogs. They love their AC. So they're not out there on the homestead. They did go today. I took them over this morning after the rain. It was cooled down to 78 degrees. And within 10 minutes, 15 minutes of being on the homestead, it was already up to 88 degrees and a heat index was in the 90s. And within another 20 minutes, we were in the 90s with heat index even higher. So 15 minutes, they were done at the homestead. They were panting, ready to be in the truck, ready to come back to the AC. They don't like the heat. Not a castle house. I have changed my idea on that, which I'll get back to that question, Chris, on the house, and I'll talk about that in a bit. My dogs never experience AC. There's a lot of them that don't. I do spoil mine, and I try putting Mickey and Minnie out with the animals at my house back in Colorado when I first got them. But as any of you know, if my house was big enough to have the camels come in, I probably would have the camels inside the house. So I couldn't leave them outside. I know a lot of people do that for livestock dogs, but I've got donkeys. I've got a llama, which Miracle, everybody's seen, he charges up to things. I've got the camels. So if predators come around, I've got other livestock defense animals besides the dogs. Of course, the dogs go over, they run around, they mark, urinate, feces, hair. When I brush them, like over here, I'll show you what I'm talking about. So when I brush the dogs out, I keep all the hair. And what I do is I go around the perimeter of where the animals are, and I'll throw tufts of hair all over the ground. So that helps scent, mark out the area, along with the dogs when they go over to urinate and feces and all that. Do I shear the llama? I have not. I sheared Miracle the year I got him because he was really, really bad. He's getting to the bad point again. I just don't have power at the homestead. So what I'm going to have to do is buy a inverter, because my old inverter got damaged. Buy a new inverter to attach to the battery on my pickup truck, and then have an extension cord from the inverter to the shears, and then I'm going to have to round Miracle up, which that was not easy the first time I sheared him. But I do plan to shear him next year. So we're going to do a little bit of the Anatolian right now, feeding them, seeing how well they listen. They never sat before. They never came individually before, but I've been working on that. So we're going to see how well they do. Like I say, it's not going to be perfect. but I've got time right now. Might as well try to start changing and training the dogs. So they're gonna get their treat for those of you that love seeing them do that. And then I'll get into the regular Sunday Monday vlog. And then I got a couple things I forgot last Sunday Monday vlog on some possible progression on the homestead and ideas coming up. And we're getting into all that. So let's go ahead and deal with the dogs right now. We're going to see how they want to listen today. So I've got ground beef. I made a bunch of balls. So they're basically raw meatballs. Just a bunch of hamburger. They love it. Minnie Mouse. Kite. I say Minnie Mouse. Jump style. Minnie Mouse. Kite. Minnie Mouse. Kite. Sits. That jumps. Stay. Minnie Mouse. Sits. 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 Jumps. Good sits. Alright. In the house. In the house, Minnie Mouse. Go. Go. Maximus. Kind. Chubbers. Stay. Chubbers. Stay. Max. Kind. Mickey Mouse. Stay. Go. Mickey Mouse. Go. Go. Max. Kind. Max, hey. Max, Chubbers. I said just nice. Max, hey. 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 Sits. 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 Mickey Mouse, go. Go. Good. Sits. Alright, in the house, go. Mickey Mouse, hey. Mickey Mouse. Sits. Sits. Good sits. Go. In the house. Go. Chubs. Okay. Max, just nice. Chubs. Chubbers. Okay. Okay. Sits. Go. Alright, go. Minnie Mouse. Minnie Mouse. Get off the couch. Come on, lazy bum. Come on, Minnie Mouse. Minnie Mouse. I said Minnie Mouse. Minnie Mouse. Minnie Mouse, okay. Sits. Sits. Minnie Mouse. Sits. 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 Good sits. Alright, go. Go. Max. Okay. Okay. Sits. Sits. Good sits. Alright, go. Go. Mickey Mouse. Okay. Mickey Mouse sits. Chubbers, go. Good sits. Alright, go Mickey Mouse, go. Chubbers. Okay. Sits. Good sits. Alright, go. Minnie Mouse. Minnie Mouse. Come on, Mama. Boys, stay. Stay. Minnie Mouse, okay. Minnie Mouse, okay. Sits. 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 Good sits. Alright, go. Go. Max. Okay. Sits. Mickey Mouse. Get. Sits. Alright, go. Go. Mickey Mouse. Okay. Sits. Go. Go. Chubbers. Chubbers. Okay. Max, get out of the kitchen. Max, out the kitchen. Maximus, out the kitchen. Chubbs, hey. Sits. Alright, go. Go. Minnie Mouse. Come on. Get out the kitchen. Minnie Mouse, okay. I said Minnie Mouse. Okay. Sits. Chubbers. Sits. Good sits. Alright, go home. Go. Max. Okay. Sits. 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 Boys, get out the kitchen. Max, sits. Get out the kitchen. Sits. Sits. All right, go. 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 Mickey Mouse, okay. Mickey Mouse, okay. I said Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse. Mickey. Sit. Nope. Out the kitchen. Go. Chubbs. Okay. I said Chubbers. Chubbs. Okay. 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 Seeds. Seeds. Alright. In the house. So like I said, not perfect, but we're getting there. We're doing a little bit of listening. Better than how they used to be. Because we all know that they didn't listen whatsoever. Give me 1 second. So I'm making it where I can leave that gate open and where they won't try to go in the kitchen area because I don't like hair around food. Especially back where I'm doing dishes, where the stove is. Don't want hair back there. I'm really anal about that. Steve will tell you. Because Steve's like, my gosh, you need like bleach wipes and everything to even eat. But yet, I let the dogs sit on the couch, lay in the bed, etc., etc. But when it comes to food, I'm very particular. It's got to be a clean area. So I'm going to drop this tripod so I can get this all set up, get on the couch. But for those of you that have been wanting to see the dogs, now you got to see the dogs. Let's see. Am I training them in German? No, Chris. I think maybe one word might be German. I made up my own words. So for come is Keim, K-I-M-E, because I looked up all different languages, and being ex-military, all the dogs were trained different languages, so that way only handlers knew how to properly give commands and stuff like that. So somebody can't say a command and the dog respond to their command. So I wanted to make my own words up. So then I looked up Icelandic, and I was going to do Icelandic, but then I'm like, no, I'm just going to make my own words up. So come is Keim, K-I-M-E. Stide is stop, stay where you're at, which as you see, half them listen, half them don't listen. Sits, which I think that might be the German, how they say it. And then Skidham, S-K-I-D-H-A-M. So like when there's cars going by the homestead or a deer or something like that, while we're driving down the road, I'll say that. So that, that's like my attack word, so that they want to go after. But like I said, I'm just starting to do the training. I started a little bit with Carla, but nothing like this, where they're sitting. They never sat before. So now for them to all sit, as well as they're doing, and I've only been doing the sits for, I want to say, maybe 5-6 days now. So they're learning that pretty quick. Stubborn, as we know, Anatolian Shepherds are. But, it is what it is. So I'm doing a little bit what I can. And DT, I will keep working. I appreciate it. You got to keep working too, and good luck to everybody. And so last week, I totally spaced something important, what I wanted to talk about. Like I said, with Colorado financially, don't know where all that lies yet. It's a month-by-month basis, whether I get payments, don't get payments, whether the ranch sells, whether it doesn't sell. Whether it goes down a bad path or not, that's to be unforeseen. So financially, I'm tied up a little bit. I'm not 100% sure on everything I'm doing. Like I said, I did the owner finance because the interest over the time was going to make up the loss of selling the ranch at a cheaper price, which was going to give me part of the money to do the fencing in the barns. Then I was going to use part of Colorado to bring in a new house on the rental property and demo the rental house and sell that and try to make $40,000-$50,000 profit. Use that to fix this building up, flip this for another 40,000-50,000, so that would give me 100,000 on top, and then put that into fencing over at the homestead, and that would get me somewhere. Now, if the ranch sells and I just get paid off on the principal, I'm losing the 189,000 in interest on the contract. So without the 189,000, there goes all the fencing, there goes the barn, all that. Of course, I'll still have money, but I need a house to build. I've got to buy solar. I've got to do water systems. I got to do all that type of stuff. So it could change everything. If it goes worst case, like I talked about, and I have to foreclose and then get the ranch back, then I'm going to be sitting there waiting for that. So who knows what's going to happen with all that. However, I finally had good news on the homestead, and that is I found a neighbor down the road. He's like the 6th, 7th, or 8th person. I can't keep track on how many people don't show up. Nothing against Arkansas, because we saw in Colorado, I could not find anybody to officially build the house in Colorado because of all the regulations Colorado had. We all know I wasn't going to meet all the regulations and codes. So couldn't find a builder out there. Can't find anybody out here just to come even to give an estimate. But then again, after the cough, what happened in 2020, we all know nobody wants to work to start with. So a neighbor down the road, I've been watching their progress on their homestead. I didn't realize he was the one doing all the work. I thought they were hiring somebody, because you would see the equipment there, then the equipment's gone, then new equipment come in, and you see the different progression. Ponds being built, fields being put in, woods being cleared, so on and so forth. So he said, I'll call you in a week, Friday, Saturday, I'll come fit you in, I'll come see what you want to estimate on. And I was up front this time. I've had several people that I talked to on the phone. Some of you guys that are watching now or watching later or watching tomorrow said that with me being too honest, people probably didn't come out because I told them I didn't have money. I never told anybody that. But this neighbor, I did say, I've got a situation going on with Colorado. I thought I was going to have money this winter. I'm not 100% sure I can save up money for this winter, but I did want to start this winter if I do. But I was, I let him know up front. I did not tell that to everybody. When I first was looking at estimates, I was having money coming in from Colorado. I didn't have any worries of not getting money. So that's why I did the forestry mulching. I was spending money because I knew I had money coming in. He showed up, so he gave me quotes, gave me rough ideas on cost-wise, hourly, what he thinks he can do in a certain amount of time, stuff like that. But like he said, there's different rock formations out here that, if he comes into, you've got to change that out depending on the root balls of all the stumps, the time that could take, depending on the ground, everything like that. But the overall is his minimum is $2,000. So if I can come up with $2,000, that gets me a lot of hours on the dozer, or about 2/3 of the time with the excavator. He charges more for excavator, less for dozer, but that's just like United Rental. When I was looking at renting, the dozers are cheaper here than Colorado, but the excavators are like twice what they were in Colorado. Don't know why excavators are so expensive out here compared to dozers, but that's the difference. So if Colorado makes payments going into winter, after I do the pen, I plan this winter to at least do the first $2,000. Now, Steve wants to do some work on his driveway and he's working on doing some type of alleyway. That's on Steve. I don't mess with Steve's stuff. He's doing something on his, and he wants some work done. So just like the forestry mulching, if I can save up enough money, he's got a little bit of money. We're looking at he'll get a couple hours, and then I'll take the brunt of it, like we did with forestry mulching. He paid a little bit for his forestry mulching, and then I took the rest of the hours. So that way, I don't have to fully come up with $2,000, and of course, he can't come up with the $2,000 right now because he's moved, building, and doing his thing. So between the two of us, it works out well that way. I was hoping that the Homesteading family would be in a better position where they would need stuff done too, and then it'd be split 3 ways. But because of different circumstances, that's not the case. So it's me and Steve right now. He's doing his thing, I'm doing my thing. We're working it out together. So this winter could possibly, if everything pans out with Colorado, like I said, payments keep coming in, I'll be able to get some excavation work done, dozing work done. I'm not sure what exactly I'm going to have done. As we all know, I have a million projects for dozers and excavators. I need ponds put in. I need today's Homesteader Lane put in. I need the roadway up to the house site on top of the mountain put in. I need a pad for the house flattened out and leveled out on top of the mountain where I'm going to build a house. The hole on the back of the homestead where the water was pouring out earlier this year, when I was telling you guys it was like over 1 million gallons a day just pouring out the ground. I want to get that done. Steve was talking about doing a fish pond, so we might do a fish pond. I don't eat fish, he eats fish, but like he said, even though I don't eat fish, the fish water, just like pond water, is high in nutrients and it's already dissolved into the water. So you could fertilize soil and compost heat with the fish water, and the fish is a benefit that way. And then of course you could always multiply your fish and then butcher out fish for chickens, and then that starts your ecosystem, and they will help with mosquito larvae and all that type of stuff as well. So my thought right now is the most important, well, it's not the most important, but driving across today's Homesteader Lane is very rough, bouncing over stumps, holes, it's uneven. Steve said it's perfectly fine for him, but we all know I tear up my vehicles. So I think the most important thing to start with this winter will be today's Homesteader Lane, going from Gregory Lane over to Purdom Lane. For those of you that don't know, I bought up all the land from the beginning of Purdom Lane to the end of Purdom Lane. So Purdom Lane is totally mine. It's a private road now. And then today's Homesteader Lane is going to be private as well. It's not going to be open to the public. It's going to be from Gregory Lane, which I own, to the center of Gregory Lane, all the way over to Purdom Lane. So it's going to go through the property. So that's going to be a private road. But that's how Steve will get to his place. That's how I'll get back to my place. And then any work from the animals all the way to the back of the homestead. Today's Homesteader Lane is the easiest way of not having to go through 50 million gates to come in the front gate to where shed is, then from that gate to leave the shed area to go into the animal area, and then down to the next gate to get out the animal area to get onto Purdom Lane, so on and so forth. So it's a lot of work. So that's going to be probably priority for me, is today's Homesteader Lane, get that taken care of. After that, if there's more time on that $2,000 after he does today's Homesteader Lane, then whatever hours are left will probably be Steve's. And if there's any time after that, will probably be the water hole. And then, of course, I've got to buy 2 20-foot culverts, because he's going to dig it like 40 feet deep instead of 15, 20 feet like I was talking about. Unless, like He said if he hits water and it just starts sinking in, there's nothing you can do. But I'm going to try to have him go down 40 feet. He's got a massive excavator, so he's got the digging capability to get down deep, run 2 culverts up, and then eventually I want to get a 60 mil pond liner and turn that area into a giant swimming hole thing type area, so that way I have a water reserve I can pump from that. So when the culvert overflows, it fills up the pool, then it will go through the culverts underneath Purdom Lane over to the dry creek bed, and then go down the dry creek bed to where the creek bed eventually turns wet, the other neighbor diagonal from me that has Cannon Springs where the water starts. So if things happen and things continue to be paid from Colorado, I'm going to do that this winter, guaranteed. The other thing I'm definitely going to do guaranteed is I'm going to build the next pen. However, I've decided from figuring out numbers, if I split the pen in half right now, I have enough T-posts and fencing. I don't have enough T-posts, but I'll need a few T-posts. I say a few, like 50 to 100. And then I need a bunch of pressure treated wood posts to make the H braces, and then the concrete and the rebar to build the H braces. I have enough fencing. So luckily, when I had money here and there, buy a roll of fencing, sat it to the side. It's just like prepping. Buy rice, buy beans, buy this, buy that, extra canned goods, then you got food if something happens. I don't have money now to buy $400 rolls of fencing, but because over the years I've accumulated roll after roll after roll, and I brought them from Colorado, I've got fencing. So I haven't measured it out yet, but I'm thinking it's going to cost me right around $700 for what I need left, maybe up to $900. I should have that by this winter as well, as long as Colorado keeps paying. So I'm going to have that done, get the animals hopefully moved over in November, I'm hoping. That's my key, before everything turns brown and there's no nutrient value out of it. I mean, acorns and leaves and stuff still have a little bit of nutrients, but nothing like the green, everything being 4 foot tall right now and luscious green. So I'm going to get that done. And that's that on last week, on what I forgot to talk about. This week, I've been working on the tree outside. Fed the animals, watered the animals, hayed the animals. Nothing new there. Nothing new here except making meals. It's so nice having a kitchen. Being able to make breakfast meals when I want to. Being able to do crock pots. Being able to cook on the stove, bake in the stove. It's really, really nice to have regular food and not microwave food, not microwave mac and cheese all the time, so on and so forth. So I'm really, really excited to have my kitchen now. This is another thing I'm really excited about. Walmart bumped out the pumpkin spice. So I got my pumpkin spice in here. Came like a month and a half early, because I got it at the end of July. So I got a couple boxes of that. I forgot to talk about that too. But going forward, there's not much to report. This week's supposed to cool down because we got a bunch of rain coming in. However, by the end of this upcoming week, we're going to be back in the 90s with heat index back in triple digits again. So once again, no work's really going to get done. The only thing I need to get done, I sent a message to my neighbor to find out if them or their son can give me a hand by pulling some ropes. I'll show you the tree real quick. I posted a photo of me standing with the tree. That's bright. But I've got the 2 lines coming down, and I just need somebody to pull on the line while I take the tree down. But I went ahead, I went all the way up the trunks. You can see I clipped everything. That big branch that was coming over the neighbor's fence, got that all down. And just so you can see, is that sheet metal that people use on roofs, and you can see not a dent in it. So I had a couple people worried that branches would hit the tip of it and then end up crushing it, which it could. But I got all the branches down, got all that taken care of. And then because that one trunk is split in half and then in quarters again, I put a ratchet strap around it to hold it together for now. And I'll go up this ladder and make 2 cuts, but I don't have to go all the way up to the top where I had all those ladders, all these ladders over here going up, and then of course this big 20-foot ladder. So the good thing is you don't have to worry about me falling out of the tree no more. I got it taken care of. And then, like I said, just the 2 cuts, that's going to be taken care of, over and done with. As for the picture in my video for the clip, I was watching Live PD and I didn't know what to put as the clip. So I went ahead and did the just picture of my TV with the Live PD, what was happening or whatever. And my title for the video is, we all know this isn't a big prepper channel where I'm constantly saying doomsday, doomsday, doomsday. However, right now, I've talked about it for a year and a half, a little over a year and a half. We're going on 2 years now that I've been saying this November, I've got a feeling of food shortages just watching everything. Like I've talked about before with food shortages on the food supply, a lot of people don't understand that food that is grown right now in 2023 and harvested normally does not hit the markets until 2024. So we're a year behind. And you look at this year with the drought and the floods in Kansas, it wiped out the wheat fields. You look at everything with Ukraine stopping the food. You look at, I think it's India or Taiwan or China or whoever that's blocking the rice bans now. You look at China that's buying up 20, 30, 40% of different grains and crops around the world. All these things are happening right now, 2023. So we won't see these effects right now. You think you're seeing these effects right now, but you won't see these effects until next year. The reason a year and a half, 2 years ago, I started talking about this November is because after everything that happened in 2020, when the new president used all the reserves up, there's no reserves. Then you look at, for a year and a half, people were shut down, not producing new. Then we got out of everything and people don't want to work. That's why you're seeing all the prices going up. In 2019 and 2020, when the government handed out all that free money, it was just a matter of time until inflation had to kick in, because it's not realized that year. It's realized afterwards. And that's why I saw all that happening. And I said this fall, because everything that happened prior, the last year, year and a half, 2 years, was going to be coming to fruition. And now we're seeing a lot of news cycle talking about it, not just alternative media, but the mainstream news media and different banks and stuff like that are talking about it's a real possibility now of a food shortage. And we're seeing all these different countries, like I said, the rice ban, the grain ban from Ukraine, our farmers losing stuff, Canada going up in smoke, their floods, California's got fires going on. It's not that good for food. And that's going to affect next year and the year after. So it's going to compile and get worse and worse. People don't understand, unless you've been in the military, unless you've seen other places around the world, how quick, how easy you can be flipped upside down. How quick food disappears. If you weren't in Hurricane Sandy, Hurricane Katrina, um, ice storms in Texas, and things like that, and been in those situations where the store is empty in less than 24 hours and people are selling gasoline at $50 a gallon and a pack of water for $100, then you have no idea how quick it can happen. A lot of us that are preppers, that are homesteaders, that believe that things are possible, we're preparing for what's possible. But what you don't understand, and it goes back to, the whole tyrannical thing that they came for this group and we did nothing. So then they came for this group, we did nothing. Then they came for us and nobody was there to stop them. It works the same way on food and everything else, on jobs, on what's going on in the economy. We're preparing because we think it's a possibility, but we're not paying attention to this group and to that group and to this group because it's happening. It's happening around us right now. It's not that it's coming, it's happening. Look at Yellow Trucking. Laid off 30,000 people. If those 30,000 people don't have extra food on the shelves in their home, how are they going to eat? If they don't have money saved up, how are they going to pay their bills? If there's not jobs available, they're not going to have it. So doomsday is happening right now in front of our face. But we don't look at it that way because it's not affecting us. It's affecting somebody else and we're not worried about it. That's the sad truth about it. Until it affects us personally or within our family or a close friend or relative, it really doesn't mean anything because we're not doing nothing to stop that. That's why a lot of preppers out there, a lot of homesteaders out there, they do the constant fear porn, fear videos, because they want people to wake up. They want people to realize how quick and how easy things can turn. And now we've had 2 trucking companies go bankrupt. Yellow being the biggest with 30,000 employees. I've talked about over the last 6 months all the things that were coming in July with McDonald's bankruptcies, Burger King, Kohl's, all these different stores. Look at all the people being laid off. On top of that, now we're having food issues. A lot of people, I've been watching different videos because I'm here all day, going nuts with cabin fever. Got nothing to do but play music and YouTube videos on my boombox. And now you got all these channels talking about, I went to Walmart here, there's no rice. I went to this store, there's no rice. Costco just announced 250% increase in food costs. They're going to charge more for their membership. It's getting worse and worse. If you have not prepared, if you have not put a couple extra canned goods on your shelf, because your job is your job right now. The people in yellow thought the same thing. They thought they had a good job. They were with a major multi-billion-dollar company. They didn't think they were going to lose their job. How secure are you in yours? If a big one can fall, a small one can fall. So I just want to put it out there. You might want to contemplate stocking up on food. I really do think November, don't know why, it could be that alien intergalactic memory chip mine thing that I feel, and these things come to fruition for me. But I really do think November is going to be a key breaking point. Don't know why. We're still several months out. Look at 2 months ago. They weren't talking about food shortages. And people are like, oh, I think you were wrong for later this year. And look at, matter of a couple months. Now they're talking about it. we're not even into hurricane season, tornado season again. When the weather changes and gets bad, what happens? Panic sets in. We saw what happened in 2020 with the toilet paper rolls. Um, that's just to wipe somebody's dirty behind. How bad is it going to be when your belly hits your spine? When your kids are crying from hunger pains? That's a whole new world. Um, People here in the U.S. are pretty lucky not to know of. Look overseas, Philippines, Taiwan, Africa. Look at, you know, people do some really bad things just to get a meal. Um, Violent things, horrific things, just to be able to feed their kids. If that does come here, you know, it's better to have a little extra food than not. Um, with the bad weather coming up, hurricane season, and they're talking about, it could be really bad with the ocean temperatures hotter this year and everything else. Um, it could get bad. I may be totally off on the November. It might not happen until 2024. But like I said, all the food issues we're having right now this year, that's going to affect next year and the year after. So compile that onto what's happening right now, and it's just like inflation. Look at the cost in 2021 into 2022, and then look at where it is now, and gas is going back up again, food's going back up again. It's it's that domino effect, the snowball effect. It just compiles and compiles. Um, you really might want to consider extra food. You might want to consider extra water. Um, if you don't know about Berkey filters, you might want to look into Berkey filters so you don't have to have a bunch of bottled water and gallon jugs stored up. If you don't know about a life straw, you might want to look up and get a life straw. Um, Different things for survival in case something happens. If the water system gets shut down because the grid goes down or something else happens, war, whatever, you just might want to be prepared. You want to think of these things. If there's a food shortage, how bad is it going to get? You've got to think. If you're in the city, we already see crime the way it is without food shortages, and we're already starting to see some shelves going empty. I was at Walmart and I saw a bunch of stuff shorted, rice included. I was able to buy one 20-pound bag of rice. I didn't want to put more money on the credit card, but debt is debt. I'd rather know a 20-pound bag of rice that's going to feed me for a couple more weeks. So it's something. I'm not saying go $50,000 in debt and buy 10 years worth of food, but an extra couple canned goods or a 20-pound bag of rice, in dire straits, it gets you through. Another thing I bought, because I suck at cooking rice on the stove, I bought a little $30 rice cooker. So I am going to start cooking rice now that I have a kitchen. Do butter rice, do chicken and broccoli rice, do all different type of things since I have rice, and start going through and rotating. That's the word I was trying to come up with. Rotating my rice. But it's just something I highly, highly encourage you to start thinking about. On top of that, if you're in debt, I'm not one to speak because we all know I live in debt. But if you can build yourself a little nest egg, try to build yourself a little nest egg. Because you never know when your job gets cut off, when a big unexpected bill will happen, or like with me, Colorado, not knowing if I'll get paid or not each month now. That changes my whole world. What will happen to you in your world? How many kids do you have to support? How many bills can you support without that job? Will you lose your car because you're overmaxed on a car loan? If your car gets repossessed, how do you get to work if you still have your job? Um, if you can't get to your job because your car gets repossessed, do you get fired from your job? If you get fired from your job, how do you pay your mortgage? How do you pay your water bill, your electric bill, your sewer bill, your trash bill, your phone bill, your insurance bills? It's a dominoes effect. One thing can take out completely. We all know I went from 2010, well, you guys don't know. You can only go by what I say. But 2010, I was doing good with all my businesses, to 2011, where I lost my house that I bought at 19 to foreclosure, vehicles repossessed, sold everything just to make my bills, to where I had a very little bit left to sell to buy that 2.5 acres and some tarps, and become homeless on 2.5 acres, where I eventually built my house 8 years later. You can go from where I was wearing all the gold jewelry, $40,000 worth of jewelry, trips to Vegas, pinstripe suits and custom tuxedos, spending $1,300-$1,400 out with friends, drinking and eating out and things like that, to I can't even eat because I wasn't prepared. You never know how good you have it until you don't have it. Life is like a roller coaster. You know, you got your highs, you got your lows. You can't go high without first being low. You can't stay high because you got to go down low. It goes up and down, up and down. A lot of people lose stuff time after time throughout their life. Some people lose it and they never get to climb back out. Sometimes it's devastating. They can't have the mental fortitude or the strength or the guts to risk and try for it again, because a lot of people go into depression. They go into defeat. Look at several weeks ago, I had a 2-week bout of depression. Didn't want to do nothing. Dug myself down in a hole with bad news. But like I said, you got to fight, because if you want it, you got to fight for it. Nothing's given to us. You got to keep mentally strong. You got to keep a smile on your face. You've got to know what you want. If you don't know what you want, you're just like all these people in cities. They're like a zombie. They go to their 9-to-5 job, grind away their whole life. Then they turn 70 or 80. They retire. Their body's worn out. Their mind's gone. They get sick. That's the end of life for them. 100 years on this planet is not a long time. But people waste that 100 years grinding that 9-to-5 job, not living a life. Like I've said many, many times over the years, when you work for somebody else, you're only getting 50 to 60% of your time out of it. The other 30, 40, 50% is taxes, traveling back and forth to work that you don't get paid for. Where if you work on your own land, if you work on your own project. Now, I'm not talking, I've had a lot of people come back at me over the years, and they're like, well, not everybody wants to homestead. Not everybody wants to live in the middle of the woods. Not everybody wants to garden. Not everybody wants to farm or ranch. That's fine. That's more power to whatever your dream is. But when you're working these 9-to-5 jobs and you're working for somebody else, you're giving your life to somebody else, and they're benefiting off of you. You don't have to homestead. You don't have to farm to do what I'm talking about. If you love painting, if you love sculpting, become your own artist. Sell your own art. Sell your own sculptures. If you like photography, how many people go out and then sell all their work to National Geographics and all the different magazines? find what you love in this life. It doesn't have to be homesteading and moving out of the city. You can stay in the city and photograph graffiti and city life and things like that, and people buy that type of stuff. But we're all taught that you have to get a 9 to 5 job, that you have to work for somebody else, that you have to give your soul and your life and your time on this planet to benefit somebody richer than you, somebody in a better position than you. Instead of doing that, instead of treating and training that mentality into every generation, we should be breaking that and telling ourselves and telling our children and grandchildren and great grandchildren over generations to break that cycle, to be creative, to be able to enjoy life, to be able to do what you're good at in life, what makes you happy in life. Like I've said, since when do you have to pay to live on a planet created for free? This planet was here free. And we all pay a very small group of people to be able to live on this planet. It should not be that way. We should be able to live our lives. We should be able to do what we want to do. If money has to be involved, we make money doing for ourselves. When you paint that painting, you gain all those minutes, all those seconds, all those hours you put into that painting. When you sculpt, you're gaining all that time, all that benefit when you sell your product. When you homestead, you get the benefit of all the work you do. Same thing with house flippers. Look at these house flippers that go in and they buy somebody's house for next to nothing. Like my rental house, they keep calling me, trying to offer me next to nothing, because people are in dire straits and need money, and they sell to these people. They come in, they do the work, and they make 3, 4, 5 times their money. Why? Because they're not working for somebody else. They're working for themselves. They put in the time, they put in the effort, they gain all of that. And by doing that, they just triple, quadruple their money. All by them doing their work. That's what they want to do. That's what they do. Same thing with painting, sculpting, homesteading, making music, playing instruments. There's a million different things out there you can do. Find what makes you happy. Gain off of yourself, not by giving it to somebody else. I really hate it. I mean, I hate seeing older people get to that age and they retire and then they can't do nothing. And then on top of that, you work for these people in corporations and companies until you're 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 years old. You retire, and that retirement that you think is going to make it is based off of that time period. You look at, okay, at 70, I'll be able to retire. I make this much money. My bills are this much. Boom, I can do that. So $1,000 now, I'll make $1,000. I'll be able to retire. But 30 years later, that $1,000 is only valued at $10.50 because of inflation, because cost keeps going up. So you get to retirement age, you come out, you retire, you burn through most of your money because of the higher cost. And then what do most of the elderly have to do? You're seeing it right now in the news. All the different news channels are talking about it. All the baby boomers are now going back to work again because they cannot afford the high rent right now, the higher interest rates right now. Like I talked about a couple Sunday, Monday vlogs ago, when I went to the bank to look at a possible loan, there was an elderly guy in there, and he was going to take a massive hit on his 401k and annuity or whatever he was going to have to cash. He was paying a massive penalty because he could not make his rent payments. Rent has increased. He couldn't pay the rents. He had to cash out to do that. How long until he burns through that before he'll have to go back to work? This is what I'm talking about. Prepare, do something good for yourself. Extra couple cans of food. Like I said, with Colorado, if I don't get paid, the dogs have all the dog food. I have all these canned goods, microwave meals that I can sustain on for some time. But have I wasted money over the years? Yes, I have. And by me wasting the money over the years, I don't have 10 years worth of food. I don't have 5 years worth of food. So what do I do when I run out of food and I don't have money? Well, luckily, I have my VA. The downside, that doesn't cover feeding the animals. So I would have to get rid of all my animals. I can sustain off of my VA and make do. But if the electric bill continues going up and the water bill continues going up and my phone bill continues going up and my car insurance continues going up, how long until I can't afford to live on my VA income? Then what do? I can't pay a mortgage on the homestead. Then the homestead gets taken away from me. And then I don't pay my other bills. And then the restaurant here gets taken away from me. And then the only place I have is the rental house. And we know that's not in good shape. So it can happen to all of us. We can all go back to having nothing. We all could go to being homeless again. That's why I take risks the way I do. That's why I live in debt the way I do. Because I know the worst case is I lose everything and I go back to being homeless. And we saw from 2016 to now, slowly over all those years, I've slowly climbed my way back to where I have. Look, Colorado with the builder that walked off with $30,000. A lot of people couldn't recover from that. I look at it as it's money. It's not easy losing 30 grand like that. It's not easy losing my house that I bought at 19. But you never know what's going to happen. And the only thing you can do is try to protect yourself. We're all not going to be able to protect ourselves completely. But whatever you can do for yourself, it helps you out. If you can work for yourself, if you can do something that you enjoy, at least you have that enjoyment of whatever time, whether it's a day, a month, a year, a decade, or 50 years, that you do what you love, what you enjoy to do, that at least gives you something from this planet. That you didn't just come here to work a 9 to 5, leave the planet, and be done. 100 years goes by quick. As we know, with everything going on, the human life is not getting longer. In my mind, it's getting shorter. All my great-grandparents died in their 80s and 90s. My grandparents now are dying in their 70s and 60s. We see kids with cancer and different sicknesses and everything that happened in 2020. In my opinion, people aren't living longer. So that means you have less time to make something of yourself on this planet. Less time to enjoy the time you have on this planet. Less time to find your happiness. So with that, I hope everybody does do some deep, deep soul searching. I hope everybody does a little bit of prepping. I hope everybody thinks about, what would I do if I lose my job tomorrow? What happens if I go to the store tomorrow and there's no food? What happens if the electric turns off for a week? How do I get water out of the spigot? How do I get water? How do I bathe? It's a lot to think about, a lot to consider, but we need to do that. So I hope everybody has a great upcoming we'll see if anything changes in my world. and I'll let you know on next Sunday Monday vlog. I know some people were asking about some more animal videos. Depending on the rain and the heat this upcoming week, I'll try to do maybe a couple videos over at the homestead. I know I haven't done edited videos yet. That's going to be when I know I'm secure to a point. If the ranch sells and I get my payoff from the ranch, then I know I'll be above board for a while, and I know I'll be able to make progress and not have to get rid of the animals or anything like that. So when I know I'm more secure, then I'll get into the editing videos. I already paid the $40 for this year for the editing hardware that I've been paying $40 each year for it and haven't used in like 2 years now. But I will try to get into that when I know I'm secure. But I will try to do a couple live streams if I can with the animals. If it's just hot and nasty, I just don't want to do it. But we'll see where things go. So I hope everybody has a great upcoming week. And like always, live happy, live free. That's the only way to be. I'll see you guys on the next video. Thank you, guys.